What's up, horror fan? Welcome back to the channel. So for today's trailer review and reaction, we are taking a look at the recently dropped trailer for Hell of a Summer. And as you know, I don't like going into in-depth synopsises or summaries of films. When it comes to doing trailer review and reactions, I like the trailers to speak for themselves. I have quickly scanned this article just to see if there was, any lengthy summaries or synopsises. There isn't. There's one that gives us a couple sentences, which is what I like. It's right in that sweet spot where I feel we do get an idea of what the film is going to be about, what we can expect to see maybe in the trailer, while still leaving some mystery as to what's really going on in the film, what the film could be about. So again, I won't be going over anything in depth because again, we'll jump right into the trailer once we go through some of the details of this article, which again does cover off on a brief summary and some additional details around casting and some of the thought process about what this film, what kind of led to this film, what's inspiring this film. So as you see here, Hell of a Summer Redband trailer. Finn Wolfhard directed Neon's summer camp slasher. So some of the details here: Stranger Things star Finn Wolfhard is the co-writer, co-director, and star of the upcoming horror comedy slasher Hell of a Summer, and the official trailer has been unleashed. Neon will release Hell of a Summer in theaters on April 18th, 2025. / into the bloody official Redband trailer for Hell of a Summer below, which we will check out here in a moment, which looks like a modern day tribute to the classic summer camp slasher movies from the 1980s. So let's take a quick pause here for a second. And as you can see here, the next paragraph we're really going to skip past is just talking about casting, who's in it. But one thing I want to touch on, and you've heard me mention time and time again, and I will continue to emphasize this point. As you can see, this says this is a horror comedy slasher. I am not big on comedy when it comes to horror films. I do understand there's films like this that's the subgenre horror comedy. So I do go into these types of films with my eyes wide open. However, it's not really a subgenre I'm a fan of because I don't feel comedy and horror really go together. But there have been those few exceptions and those few films where I do feel it does work. And we'll check out the trailer here in a moment and see if it's too comedic, or if it's just a nice balance between comedy and horror, which I think when it is a nice balance between the two, I tend to be okay with. I tend to kind of flow and just run with it. One example I've given time and time again, which is a prime example of where I don't like comedy in horror, is Terrifier 3. I felt like the comedy that was inserted into that film and the comedy that Art the Clown was emphasizing and using just wasn't, for me, it wasn't for the character, especially based on what we saw for Terrifier 1 and 2 and how Art the Clown was. It just felt a bit misplaced for the character to be that comedic. Now again, there's probably reasons for that for Terrifier 3, but we aren't going to go into that for this video. This is strictly about Hell of a Summer trailer reaction and review. So I just want to emphasize that. You've heard me say it before, and I'll continue to say it when we come across these horror comedy films, as we review trailers and as we actually do the film reviews. So just moving past all the casting information, Hell of a Summer follows 24-year-old counselor Jason Hitchenberg, who arrives at Camp Penaway thinking his biggest problem is that he feels out of touch with his teenage coworkers. What he doesn't know is that mass killer is lurking on the campgrounds, brutally picking counselors off one by one. So I mean, just that's the synopsis. I mean, that alone, as it mentioned above, feels very 80s. It feels very much like Friday the 13th. I mean, pick any one of the early on Friday the 13th films, and that's pretty much what you got right there, right? You have these counselors either showing up before the camp is supposed to open, and there's Mrs. Voorhees in the first film or Jason in the subsequent sequels, picking off counselor by counselor, right? So very 80s slasher horror film feel and vibe. Megan Navarro wrote in her festival review for Bloody Disgusting, quote, Finn Wolfhard and Billy Brick frame their slasher riff as a buddy comedy from the perspective of teens, aimed solely at teens. The director's acting backgrounds translate to an ensemble of entertaining and lively performances, though their debut is less effective in form and slasher thrills. So that, that's this, that's this individual's subjective opinion. We'll have to see the trailer. We'll see the trailer here in a moment and judge that for ourselves. Quote, Wolfhard and Brick invoke multiple movie references and lean into slasher conventions, but the focus is all about giving a voice to a specific demographic. Megan's review continues. On that front, it succeeds. Hell of a Summer isn't really a slasher comedy so much as it is a representation of actual teens telling a story about transitioning into adulthood. That alone will win over its target audience and then some, but it's clear that Wolfhard and Brick are still at the early stages of honing their craft in form and technique with a strong voice and clear sense of ambition, though the first-time filmmakers are ones to watch. So yeah, I mean, again, subjective, and I've always said film, TVs, series are very subjective. That's this one person's opinion. So let's jump right into the trailer and see if we agree with them and see what the details are about.
You're 24 years old and you're still going to summer camp.
I'm working at camp.
Which way are we going?
How many summers does a guy get to spend here?
A lot, apparently.
I know a few of you are first-time counselors. Phones go in the basket. Let's also remember, no drinking, no smoking. Let's get fucked up.
Hi, Chris.
Hey, Shannon.
We were talking by the fire, and...
Does head mean anything to you?
She blew you?
What? No, I blew her.
Best counselor weekend yet!
Mike? Oh, fuck! What is happening right now?
There's a killer on the loose!
What?
Hello? She's dead!
What's going on?
Jason's saying that Demi's been killed.
You guys stole my fucking murder mystery party idea, didn't you?
No one knows what we're dealing with here.
I know how we could get some answers. Everybody, join hands together. We're gonna bless the board.
I don't fuck with ghost shit.
Do you fuck with getting brutally murdered outside?
The killer is someone that we all know. The killer is... Jason! What? You're like 40 fucking 5 and you still go to summer camp.
Yeah! I'm only 24! So much blood.
Shut.
Oh, God, this is bad. That's so much worse than I thought it was gonna be. You know what they say? A bad day behind me is better than a good day anywhere else.
The line's been cut. Oh, I've always wanted to say that.
We're gonna die. We're all gonna die.
So yeah, after seeing this trailer and the article we just went through and the person's review of it, I'm pretty much in agreement with most of what they said. Very campy, very reminiscent of leaning into what we've seen thus far in decades past, especially in the 80s when it comes to horror films, campgrounds. I mean, it's almost as if they're trying to take the concept of these 80s slasher films, modernize it, and try to target today's teen audience by maybe some of the things that the teens, how they act, how they're interacting with each other, some of the ways they handle the situation. So very much on par for what the reviewer was mentioning in the article. It's leaning into very much a lot of the horror concepts that we've seen many times over. So nothing really new there. It didn't have as much of the quote-unquote comedy in it that I was expecting to see. There were a few like tidbits where like one-liners and little tidbits that they try to make it humorous. Like, for example, when they tackled the counselor and when they were saying he was 45 years old, he's like, oh, I'm only 24, something like that. And then when one of the kids was on the payphone or on the phone, it's like the line's cut. He goes, I've always wanted to say that. Just those little tidbits that they're trying to almost make humorous or force the humor, I think is going to be lost on audiences. It's going to be lost in someone like myself, just from a viewer of horror films. I feel that when you try to force comedy, it just takes away from the viewing experience. It takes away from the film altogether. I mean, we did see some of the kills. We saw one kill with an axe, and like it appeared to be behind like either a curtain or a shower curtain. We saw just a silhouette of someone getting retired with an axe. We did see there's somebody obviously using gloves and a knife. There was a fire in one of the rooms where someone was, thrown across the room by what I would assume is the villain of the film. But very campy horror film. I can see why, again, it's being deemed as a horror comedy, because otherwise I don't see this film being made nor making it to theaters. I see this being more of a streaming film. Put it on a platform, try to get some subscribers to your streaming service, or at least new content for the genre on your streaming platform. Other than that, I mean, I'll watch just about any film, any TV series when it comes to horror to give it a fair shake. I'll give this one a fair shake. I'm not fully hooked in, not fully pulled in by this trailer. I'm sure we'll get, it comes out in March, so I'm sure we will get another trailer beforehand. I will say this will probably be one that I wait for streaming or wait to rent. I can say right up front, I won't be seeing this in theaters. I don't think this garners for me a ticket price and the effort to go to a theater and see this one. Because again, I'm not big on horror comedies, but I'll give them a chance. I'll give this one a chance. Other than that, like the article mentioned, very campy, very relying on 80s horror, slasher horror films that we've seen. Much of that, I feel like it's a rinse and repeat, just with a modern take. So that's just my perspective of the trailer. Let me know down in the comment section what you think about the trailer. Will you be seeing Hell of a Summer? Are you interested in these types of horror comedy films? Is this a subgenre you enjoy and like? Again, let us know down in the comment section. And if you haven't done so already, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. And to all the existing and new subscribers, thank you for the continued support. And we will see you at the next one. Peace.